I think that when you feel that ta-da, usually you're right. I time the block that I went through to the pandemic. I think it actually started before. I think I needed a break from people in general. I felt like it was hard for me to approach people on the street. I felt like everybody was doing it. I didn't feel like it was important enough. It wasn't about style anymore, which was the work I used to do for the Village Voice. It wasn't about, I don't know. I didn't think the portraits of anonymous people that I was making them relevant enough. There was no kind of context to make it make sense. So I started photographing trees, and I photographed trees as if they were people. So it was portraits of trees. I was really happy doing that, and I would do it everywhere that I went. So I did it in London, and I did it on the West Coast, and Atlanta, Georgia, and Vermont, and here, and Central Park in New York City. And so I was having a blast doing that. And that work was just shown this past summer at Mike Carroll's Schoolhouse Gallery. And I was thrilled with it. But I didn't feel like I needed to continue. I felt like I had made my point, I think, I didn't need to do more. It just didn't make sense. I took this class at PAM, and with Rebecca Brune, I took a iPhoneography class. And part of what made me take the class was that I'd been photographing with my phone so much because I always have it with me. And I also got discouraged with how heavy it was and how inconvenient it was, and how people's reception of me changed when I had a real camera. Like, everybody's allowed to have a phone because everybody has one. But if you have a camera now, it's a whole, all of a sudden it's very serious and competitive and weird. So I liked people thinking I was just playing. And in many ways I was just playing. I've been photographing tiny houses. And for me, this is part of that subject. It's the feeling of being on Cape Cod. It's the effects that I'm doing on the pictures make it look old, which my street portraits for the Village Voice always made it look like I was taking a picture in the 40s or the 50s. And it wasn't something I was doing. It just had that feeling. And so now I'm making it feel like it's old and sentimental. And I think, I'm hoping that will translate for people. I am photographing landscapes as well as buildings, but it feels like the subject matter feels like tiny houses. And that includes, for me, sheds and garages and actual tiny houses, and houses that are unique, whether they're actually tiny or not, whether they would fit in that category. So I've been having a blast. So people keep asking me, what kind of places are you looking for? And I say, anything that's cute. You know, anything that already has a look that I might be sentimental about. That's something that I can really work with. So when I go back to New York, I'm going to play a lot with what I've learned in terms of these apps that affect texture and color, but I might end up doing it with a DSLR and Photoshop, because it might, I don't know which one it's going to be easier with or more satisfying.